How's it going, YouTube? It is your boy, Sold Out, back once again with the YouTube video. This is just going to be a kind of quick deck tech going over some of the cards that I played at the regional qualifier Houston, talking about sort of the implications, how I felt about the cards as I played them, and maybe my thoughts on the deck post Houston. If you're looking for a more detailed explanation of the deck and the cards and the matchups, link to the Metafy down in the description. Has the Annie guide. That's where you're gonna want to be for a super in-depth sort of explanation about the deck and its matchups. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. Let's just go over some of the units that I played. Obviously, we're on triple Vi. I'm on double Darius. This is something that not a lot of people were on at the event. That's very complicated to talk about, why I was on two Darius. I think you could very easily make the argument to play three in the main. I think that there are some versions of the deck where three in the main is like the most optimal thing to do. The reason I was on two is I felt that I just needed more space in the deck. I felt that the version of the deck that I'm on is doing like scrap heaps plus, which we'll talk about later, and we're doing Zon game one, which it just has like an unprecedented level of consistency and like card draw that like no other deck in the game is gonna have access to. And I just felt like, do I even need three? Like I have so many of this guy. Like sometimes I'd have like 2+ in my hand. It's like I don't need that many Darius in my hand, right? So kind of the idea was just that it's not a card that I want multiple of in my hand. It's a card that I'm going to be able to like deep draw into. And then we're playing the third one in the side to side to side in the third. Overall, I was really happy with this. I felt like I had Darius when I needed him, and I didn't felt like he was like taking up unnecessary space. I was very happy with that decision. Next up, we have 3 red Kaisa. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's like the best accelerate unit in the game. It's the best accelerate unit in the game with even after Spirit Force comes out. Like this girl she's crazy. She's just unbelievably broken. Strong going first, strong going second. It was basically every time I cast her, she's just crazy. Like this is the card you actually do not mind if you have multiple of in your hand. Be like, boom, Kaisa to base. Oh, next turn, boom, like Kaisa up. Oh, she gets a Void Seeker, boom, accelerate another one, right? So it's like there's so many play patterns with this card where you're just like, oh, Kaisa conquers, okay, flash, boom, Kaisa conquer again. But you just like drawing infinite cards. Good into pretty much everything. A little weak into Master Yi, because she doesn't naturally walk over any of his units, but other than that, she's good into pretty much everything. Very strong card. Next up, we have 3 Sneaky Deckhand. What do you want me to say about Sneaky Deckhand? I mean, just probably the best unit in the deck. This card just does everything. Like going first, it's like a turn 2 double conquer with your 2-drop. That's 2 points on turn 2. Really hard to lose a game from that position. It's going second. It's like a turn 1 conquer a battlefield, switch point tempo. Like now I'm the first person because I had Sneaky Deckhand in my opener going second. I'm the first person to conquer, which means I'm the first person to hold, which means I'm the first person to 2 points, first person to 2, first person to 4, first person to 6. You see where I'm going with this? Sneaky is unbelievably strong. Like just putting this on the board and like forcing your opponent to deal with it, or you just like score infinite. Definitely, it's good late game too. Like this card is like, oh, I'm on 5 points. Okay, well, Void Seeker your guy, Foff your guy, boom, Sneaky Deckhand, go to 6. Next turn I have Viride to win. This card is, as the name implies, a very sneaky card that it just gets you so much value. It's actually just like so many points. Like I think half the points I score in any given game probably come from Sneaky Deckhand. So, and then next up we have triple Traveling Merchant, just the best 2-drop in the game. I mean, next to like Ravenbloom Student, I would say, but even this card I think is better just generally. Like the level of consistency and card draw you get from Merchant cannot be understated. It's literally like turn 1, discard draw 1. So any card that you had in your opener that was like, this card's kind of mid, or maybe you have like two Darius in hand or like two Kaisa in hand, and you're like, I really need spells, or like you say you draw Vi early, and you're like, don't really want to play her to base. Boom, discard, draw a new card. Merchant's crazy. Like it's just he just does what he says he does. You know, he discards you a card, draws you a new one. And in this kind of like aggro tempo deck, that effect is insanely powerful. And then I'm playing 2 copies of Pouty Poro. This is a question I get asked about a lot. It's like, hey, do you play 2 or do you play 3 Pouty Poro? And it doesn't have to be Pouty Poro. Like in this slot, this is kind of like your flex 2-drop slot. Like you always have to play 3 merchants, like pretty much mandatory. But like what you play as like your second 2-drop is kind of a flex. I went with Pouty. I think most people went with Pouty. It's just like good into Kaisa. Like forcing them to recycle is like a lot of times how you beat Kaisa is you're just like give them too many things to recycle for that they kind of like have to go low on runes, right? And then Kaisa doesn't operate well when she's on like a low rune count. So I went with 2 Pouty. I think you can play the third one, although I don't know what you would cut to make room for the third one. That's like kind of the issue with the deck at the moment is there's just too many good cards that you want to play and like not enough space. I know like that was a really big problem I had when I was like building the deck for the tournament. I ended up going with 2, and the reason for this was mostly because I didn't feel like the third one actually like mattered all that often. It increases your chance to see a 2-drop on turn 1, which does matter, obviously. Like having a 2-drop on turn 1 is super important, but it also increases your chance to draw a 2-drop after turn 1, which you don't want to do. Like you don't want to see Pouty on like turn 4. Like if you turn 4 you top deck Pouty, it's like, okay, my hand better already be good because my top deck was just like unplayable garbage. So I decided to kind of thread the needle a little bit and be like, okay, I am a little less likely to have a 2-drop on turn 1, but that means every turn after turn 1, my draws are a little bit better. It worked out. Like I mean, I was fine all weekend. Even the games I didn't have a 2-drop, like I won anyway. So like it didn't matter because like if you don't open like one of your merchants or your Pouties or like one of your Vi's, you can still open Sneaky, right? If you open Sneaky going first with no 2-drop, like is it suboptimal? Sure, it's definitely suboptimal. You want to have a 2-drop, but you can just go like, okay, turn 2 Sneaky, score my point. I'm still like fine, right? So I didn't feel like I just like all the games I felt like I lost in testing was because I just like bricked on like 2-drops. Like this was like back in like the first versions of the deck, I was playing like 3 merchant, 3 Pouty, and like 2 rearguard. I was on like 8 2-drops plus Vi, right? So like 11 2-drops, and that's just too many, right? That's just like all the games I lost were just like, man, I have all these 2-drops in my hand and like no spells and no cards that actually win you the game. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little traumatized from that, but this like sort of 3-2-3 ratio on 8 2-drops has been working out really well for me, and it's probably what I would continue to play going forward. I don't think the third Poro is like wrong. I think it's like fine. I think it's just like trading sort of percentages like in one direction or the other. I just don't know, like at the end of the day I just don't know what I would cut for third Poro. Like even if I wanted to play third Poro, I don't know what I would cut for it. So that's kind of my thoughts on the units. The unit lineup is pretty standardized at this point. It's just like 2 or 3 Darius, 3 Kaisa, 3 Sneaky, 3 Merchant, and then like 2 or 3 Pouty. It's like that. Those are the units, right? There's a couple other units that you can play in like as a flex slot. Like Vayne, or I saw some people playing like Draven in the sideboard. I'm not a huge proponent of Draven. I never have been. He was like really bad in testing, but to be fair, that was a while ago. I haven't really taken the time to like look into Draven again. So maybe the people that were on him, like maybe that's real. And it's not a card that I was ever particularly fond of. I feel like he goes against the sort of philosophy of the deck. Is if Draven, I need to be on 4 points, but if I'm on 4 points, I'm kind of winning the game anyway. So like, I don't feel like Draven actually accomplished anything, right? It's like the game's already over, right? And he's just like slow, and it's like if you're ever in a situation where you're behind, he's like way where I don't know. If you guys want to hear my thoughts on Draven, I can make like a separate video about. But yeah, not a card that I would play personally. I was much. We'll talk about it later, but I was playing Vayne in the sideboard. That card was much very good this weekend. So let's go over the spells and the gear. 3 gear, but we'll talk about that a little bit. So for the spells, we're playing triple Void Seeker. Void Seeker is crazy. It's the best removal spell in the game by a significant margin, I would say. Card's very good. Deals 4 damage to a unit at a battlefield. Draws you a card. Very good into Kaisa. It's very good into the mirror. Very good into... It's good into everything. It's good into Master Yi. It's good into Kaisa. It's good into the mirror. It's good into like Ari and like stuff like that. Definitely a card that I enjoyed having. Pretty much I never drew this card and was like, oh no, a Void Seeker, there's sometimes where it's maybe awkward where it doesn't do exactly what you want it to do. Like if your opponent has like a Darius on field, you're like, okay, well, Void Seeker is not really doing what I need it to. Against Aurora, obviously it doesn't do all that much, but like if you draw 2 against Aurora, you just go like Void Seeker, and then like you're fine. Or like if you have like a Kaisa on a battlefield and they go like Dead Bloom, okay, Void Seeker, trade my Kaisa for your Dead Bloom. Like that's a good trade for you. That's a really good trade for you. I saw some people playing 2 Void Seeker, which I think is fine. Like this, like if you were trying to make space in the deck, this would be a good way to do it. It's just like, I'm going to cut a Seeker. Personally, I liked having 3. Maybe I'm just greedy, but against Master Yi specifically, like if you're having trouble with Master Yi, this is the card I like into that deck. Being like, I'm going to Void Seeker your 2-drop, and now you're forced to either double combat trick, which is bad for him. He's forced to let it die, or he has to defy it. And all of those options are really good for you. Like if you're eating a defy on turn 2 without even committing any units into him, you're winning. Like that's a winning position for you. Like the positions where defy is really strong against Annie is when she needs to like conquer something, or like she needs to like move like a Darius into him with like a cleave, and they go like defy. Or like you go like Vi Ride the Wind and they go like defy. Those are like back-breaking defies. If turn 2 I go Void Seeker your 2 and that he defies that, I just ate that defy for free, right? But he's also in a position where he can't not defy the Void Seeker, because he loses the game if he does. If he lets his 2-drop die to Void Seeker, I just get to conquer that battlefield for free. I'm going to be up like 4-0. Master Yi can never win from that position, from 4-0. So it's just like, there's a couple things like culminating into this. The main thing you need to understand is that this is a good card. And the breakpoints on this card are really impressive in this format specifically. Definitely a card that was always good. It was always good. Drawing multiple of it sometimes was a little awkward. So I think that's kind of like the argument to play 2 is like you're less likely to like brick, like you don't want to have like 2 in your hand at any given time. If you like do 1 and then like draw into a second one, that's fine. But you don't want to like just have 2 in your hand. Like that's a little awkward. So definitely could understand why some people went down to 2. I think that's totally justified. Personally, probably I would stay at 3. I just think this card is too valuable to not have on turn. If you have this card on turn 2, you're like really in a really good position. Especially going like turn 2 going second. Like this card is insane. Next up, we have One of Rebuke. I mean, it's One of Rebuke. I mean, what do you want me to say? This card's good into everything. It's not kind of the same position as like Falling Star, where it's not a card you want to play if you don't have like units developed already. So you kind of have to like have a base and then like use it as like a defensive tool, or use it to like get rid of like a Darius pushing in, or like rebuke a Dead Bloom, or like rebuke a Master Yi or whatever. It's just very flexible. It has use cases into every matchup. As a one of in the main, it was very nice. Like you could like get it off a stack deck, or like if it wasn't particularly good, you could just like discard it for Merchant. Definitely like I think the One of Rebuke is like pretty much a staple. It was never bad. It was always very good. 2 Fight or Flight. This card is good when it's good, and it's bad when it's bad. Not a card you want to see like super early. Like if you have it in your hand on turn 2, it's a little awkward because you don't actually want to be using this card on turn 2 to like send an opponent's unit to base. on turn 2 and turn 3, you kind of want your opponent's units on battlefields so you can like walk over them in combat. And this card kind of stops you from being able to do that. So a lot of times it's just like a pseudo flash, which is fine. The real strength of this card is in the late game. Like, be like, okay, I need points. I need the point, like the 6th point or like the 5th or the 6th point. You just go, okay, FOF your guy, boom, walk in, or like boom, sneaky. It's really good if your opponent has like a really large field that you can't clear. You just go, okay, FOF your biggest dude, and now the battlefield is like way more manageable. And now like Darius Cleave will clear the battlefield or whatever. Very good. It's a very flexible card. It was, it comes up a lot. Definitely a card that I enjoyed having. And I think 2 is like the perfect number for this card. Like, I think that's exactly where you want to be. Enough of it that you can find it, but not too much that you're like struggling to get value out of it. So next up, triple flash. I mean, it flashes the best purple card in the game. I mean, like the fact that Annie gets to play this card is so unbelievably broken. The things that this card lets you do, like the versatility of this card is unmatched. Like, not only does it beat removal, but it beats combat. Kind of described this card in this way before, but a lot of the times it's just like a double Zanya's Hourglass. If I have a merchant and like Kaisa on a battlefield and my opponent's like threatening both of my units, just go boom, flash. Now 2 of my units that were going to die are now not dead, and then they are in my base. Insanely powerful card. Some people say that, oh, sold, but it loses to Falling Star. It's like, yeah, I know that, okay? Like, the point is not that it doesn't beat Falling Star. It beats literally everything else. I guess it doesn't beat Rain, right? And Singularity, but like it beats everything else, right? So now instead of having to beat Combat and Void Seeker and Hextech Ray and Falling Star and Rain, now you only have to beat like your play patterns, like your actual like, this is how I'm going to approach the game. Your deck building only needs to beat Falling Star and Rain, because this card beats everything else. That's the strength of this card. Not that it literally makes you immune. If it beat everything, this card would need to be banned. It doesn't need to beat everything, right? It beats most things, and then your play patterns and the way the deck is constructed beats the stuff that this card doesn't, okay? I think that's like the number one thing I think people misunderstand about this card, is it's not meant to beat everything. It's meant to put you in a position where the things that you need to play around are much more limited. So like, yeah, I mean, that's all there is to say about it. Like, it doesn't need to beat Falling Star because the deck is built to beat Falling Star. It beats everything else. So, I mean, that's kind of, and this card is like versatile outside of that. Like, a lot of times if I have like a Kaisa on a battlefield, she's like, I start my turn, she gets readied, I go flash her back, and then boom, move her up to the other battlefield to conquer. That's like a great way to get use out of a flash that maybe you didn't need to use on your opponent's turn. This card is very versatile, has a lot of applications. It's good into literally every matchup. It's only going to get better as like removal options kind of diversify, as when Spirit Forged releases, the set after Spirit Forged, when the meta kind of gets larger and harder to like prepare for. Right now the meta, like the game is super easy to prep for. It's like, these are the cards you're looking out for, and like there's like 4 problem cards you have to be aware of. Every set afterwards there's going to be more and more cards that you have to like play around, be aware of, be conscious of. This card just beats anything that says the word battlefield. This card beats. And like, that is an insane level of power to have in one card. This card is going to, like, Annie as a deck is going to remain relevant for as long as she's legal to play. So until she either gets banned or she rotates out, Annie as a deck will remain at the premier aggro deck of the format. You can quote me on this. They are not going to be able to power creep Annie unless they literally intentionally print a card that power creeps this. And if they ever power creep this legend, I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, they would have to be both intentional and would break the game. Like, there's no other aggro deck that's going to be able to compete with Annie for as long as she's legal. And part of the reason why is because of Flash. So yeah, feel free to quote me on that. Annie's broken, gonna remain broken. Flash is part of the reason why that's the case. Other factors, obviously, but Flash is like one of the main ones. Next up, we have triple Ride the Wind. It's good. Ride the Wind's good. It's a good card. Gives you the game. I mean, I don't know. There's not really a lot to say about Ride the Wind. It kind of just does the one thing. It just wins you the game. It has some like other applications where you like ride the wind on your opponent's turn to like score. That doesn't really come up all that often because like it's very dangerous to do that. Like your opponent pretty much has to be tapped out completely to do an off turn ride the wind. Because if you do an off turn ride the wind and it ever gets like interrupted or like your guy gets removed before you conquer, that's like really, really bad for you. So it's not a play that I make all that often. It is a play that is available to you. It is a play that you force your opponent to play around. But most of the time, this is just like my win button. Or like if I am on 4 points and I'm like, I really need to double conquer this turn, you can like do Ride the Wind as like a way to like double, like you go like, okay, accelerate Kaisa up, Ride the Wind over, go to 6, back my Kaisa. That's a very strong line of play as well. So yeah, a couple of use cases for this. It's mostly just your win button, but sometimes you can use it to like double conk if you don't have like multiple units available. Next up, we have double Gust. Gust is good. Gust is really, really strong as a way to kind of gain tempo in the early game. Especially when you go second, this card really shines. Your opponent plays a 2, you play a 2, they move their 2 in. Now, normally the first person to conquer, I mentioned that I kind of touched on this briefly before, the first person to play a unit is the first one to conquer, the first one to hold, right? And so Gust kind of switches who has the first unit on the board. So instead of like you go second, instead of your opponent having the first unit, now your unit is the first one on the board. Your unit is going to be the first one to conquer and therefore the first one to hold. And that is a very, very strong position to be in with a card like Gust. And it's good when you go first too. Like you just like be like, oh, you were gonna contest me. Oh, boom, now you're not, right? Just basically just sets your opponent a whole turn behind for like 1 energy. And that's really powerful. So very, very good card. Like it a lot. And then we have 3 Stack Deck. I mean, Stack Deck is the most impressive consistency tool in the game currently. This card is going to remain like a 3 of staple in purple decks until it gets power crept or rotates out. I really don't know how they would power creep this card. There's a card in set 2 called Shot that is a similar to this card, except it's worse in like pretty much every way. That's not entirely true, but just because I won't talk about set 2 right now, but this card just being 1 energy, look at the top 3, put 1 in your hand. The level of consistency this card offers you is unmatched. And definite, like, it will remain a staple 3 of for as long as it's legal, I think. It's just a crazy consistency tool. And then we have 3 Cleave. I mean, Cleave is busted. Cleave is, like, really good. It's just, like, an amount of stats that you shouldn't be able to get for 1 mana. +3. It combos with Darius. Everyone knows about Darius Cleave. It's really good to, like, cleave on your Kaisa, walk over something, draw a card. It's really good to, like, spread out your might. Like, if you have, like, a 2-drop and a Darius, you go, like, cleave on your 2-drop. Now I'm swinging 5 over here with, like, 7 in my base, right? So, like, you can spread out your might. You can, like, use it to draw cards off your Kaisa. Just, like, a really solid way to score points for a low investment. And that's kind of ultimately what you want to be doing with Annie, is you want to be investing as little amount of resources as possible to score as many points as you can. So that's that for spells. Last thing we need to talk about is Scrap Heap. Oh boy. So Scrap Heap, if you're not familiar, you can discard it or when it's discarded, you draw 1 card. You can also like play it to base for 2 energy to draw a card, but most of the time you're not going to be doing that. You're going to be discarding it off of your Zon Warrens. You're going to be like, okay, game 1, going first, going second, doesn't matter. Playing the Scrap Heaps, I'm going to conquer this with my Pouty, right? Go, okay, Zon trigger, discard Scrap Heap, draw for Zon, trigger my Scrap Heap. I just drew 2 cards. That's kind of like the conceit of this whole thing is I just get to have like infinite card advantage for free, basically. I mean, the cost is in deck building, but like all Scrap Heap does is make all the other cards in your deck better because you have more of them. You have access to them sooner and more frequently. Scrap was impressive all weekend. It was impressive in testing. Just an all around really, really impressive consistency piece. And then you combine that with like your merchant, you combine that with your stack deck and your Kaisa draws, and you're drawing like your whole deck every game, right? You have literally every card that you need as soon as you need it. And that sort of consistency is something that no other deck in the game has access to. Like other purple decks have similar consistency. I mean, technically Jinx has the same consistency tools, but then you have to play Jinx, so it's like, I can be consistently dog shit, which is like cool, man, like awesome. But really no other deck has the level of consistency Annie does, or like the way that she can score points as efficiently as she can. We'll go over battlefields real quick. We're playing arenas, we're playing the Dreaming Tree, we're playing the Zon. Like I said prior, we're doing game 1. You sit down from your opponent, flip up Zon, you got your scrap heaps. After you win game 1, I guess I should talk about this a little bit real quick. So the reason we're doing scrap game 1 with Zon, this was something I was thinking about a lot. I was testing like doing game 1 like arenas or like game 1 tree, and then siding in the scrap heaps and going like first on Zon. And the idea was like if I side in the scrap heaps, I can also like draw into my sideboard text, and I thought that would be really, really strong. It turned out to be like super mid. The thing that I noticed is that you really, really, really need to win game 1. Not like if you lose game 1, it's not like you lose the whole match or anything, but generally the player who wins game 1 is going to be favored to win the match. Like regardless of sideboarding, regardless of anything, doesn't matter. If you won game 1, you're favored to win the match. And that's just has to do with how unfavored the player going second is. Like the win rate of the player that goes first is it is noticeably higher than the player that goes second, right? So the outcome of game 1, whoever wins that game, they're favored because now both players get an opportunity to go first, and the consensus is that when you go first, you are probably going to win, right? So it's like if I won game 1, even if I lose the next game, I get to win the game that I went first, right? So then I'm 2 wins to my opponent's 1 win, right? So ultimately, the player that wins game 1 is favored to win the match. That's like the whole like consent. That's like the whole conceit, whole idea. So I found that Zon gave you the greatest chance to win game 1 when you played it. So that was just what I decided. That's what I ended up doing. In testing, it worked out that way. I played a tournament where I did the arenas going first, and it was like super underwhelming. So at Houston, I just did main deck scrap heaps with the Zon, and I won game 1 every single game. The only game I didn't win game 1 Zon is the match that I lost in top 32. And I lost the Zon game, and then I lost the match, right? That's kind of like the idea. It goes like completely supports the kind of conclusion I came to prior, where you have to win game 1, right? I can't you can win. Like if you lose Zon, you can still win the match. It's not like the match is over. I don't have any like matches in which I lost Zon and still won the match. Oh wait, no, I do actually. I totally forgot. Round 1, I played against a Aurora Yi player, and I lost game 1 because I thought it was I misdid some sequencing or something. He was playing like main deck win wall, which I wasn't playing around. Anyway, so I ended up losing game 1 on the Zon, right? And this is kind of like a whatever situation because it was against an Aurora. But then game 2 and 3, I ended up winning both games. So you can still win the match. Like it's not like the match is over if you lose the Zon, but if you win Zon, you pretty much win the match 100% of the time. Yeah, I don't think I've ever won Zon and then proceeded to lose a match. I digress a little bit on that point. It's not like super important. All you really need to know is that Zon is very good. Your win rate on Zon is like 70% or something stupid like that. You pretty much never lose on Zon as long as you're playing correctly. It's just like the amount of cards you have access to, the amount of cards you have access to, the amount of cards you have in hand. It means you just have like infinite answers. We're doing what are we doing? 4 or 5. We're doing a 5-7 split. This isn't super important. Yeah, 5-7. Not super important, but worth mentioning. I like having 5 purple because we're playing, the 1 rebuke in the main, playing 1 rebuke in the sideboard. So you want to have access to purple. There's a lot of times where like you won't be able to play 2 rebuke in a game if you only have 4 purple runes. And then for the sideboard, we're playing purple Annie as our CC. Sideboard, we're playing 2 falling star, 1 rebuke, double fading memories. Fading memories is good against Aurora. It has some applications versus Set, although I haven't really felt the need to be siding it in versus that deck, to be honest. It's kind of like old tech at this point. Mostly I just side in the rebuke and call it a day. You can side this in versus Set. Specifically, if the Set has yellow Set in the CC, this is a great way to deal with that card. It's not very good against orange because orange you can just walk over with a Darius, right? Yellow Set is a bit more difficult because you can't walk over it in combat. So that's why fading has application there. Oh, I didn't talk about Falling Star. So Falling Star I did not side in Falling Star a single time when at Houston. This card is really only good against like rogue strategies, Leona, Ari, Teemo, stuff like that. Falling Star is quite good against. But what I noticed is that I didn't want it versus Kaisa. I didn't want it versus Yi. And I don't think it's particularly good in the mirror. I think you can side it in the mirror and sort of like force your opponent to respect it. But the thing I noticed the most about the Annie mirror is that if you ever got behind, you just insta-lost anyway. Like, this is a card that is really good when you're ahead and really bad when you're behind. So I didn't feel like when I was ahead in the mirror that I needed this. Because, like, I was already, like, super winning. There was really nothing my opponent could do to threaten me. And when I was behind, this is, like, the one card I definitely wouldn't want to have in my hand. Because when you're behind, when you don't have units on field, this card is, like, uncastable. So I didn't side it in a single time. But I also didn't play into the matchups where this card is good, like Ari, like Teemo. So yeah, definitely a card I'm considering like going down to like 1 in the board just for like those like rogue matchups. Very weird card. The other problem also is that there's just like nothing better to play in the board. Kind of what I noticed. So I don't know. It's a little weird. Kind of whatever. Just kind of unimpactful. We're playing the second rebuke for like Set and Master Yi, stuff like that. The second rebuke, very strong. Playing the third gust in the side. You just side this in when you go second. Side this in when you take the scrap heaps out. Third gust, very good. We're playing 1 Vayne. Vayne, I came in a couple times. She's pretty good into Kaisa. She's very good in the mirror. I much liked this card in the mirror. It's just like an extra accelerate guy. It's an accelerate unit you can play turn 2 when you go first to like walk over in an opposing Annie's like sneaky deckhand. Very solid card. Has some like other niche applications in other matchups, but mostly it's just like an extra accelerate guy. Very good in the mirror. Pretty solid into Kaisa. That's about it. And then we're playing the third Darius. The third Darius pretty much comes in 100% of the time. At any time that you're sideboarding and you're taking out the scrap heaps, which should be after game 1, you're always taking out the scrap heaps. You're always putting in the third Darius. I don't like the third. It's just like, this is a card that you would want to play in the main deck, but just don't have space for. So yeah, it's just like the third Darius. You can move some ratios around. This deck is unedited from this is a 1-to-1 what I played at Houston. Overall, the deck performed exactly how I expected it to. I did lose in top 32. Honestly, I think that was mostly just my fault as a player. I think I just played poorly against my opponent. My opponent played very well. Not really much. I don't think it was the deck's fault that I lost, is what I mean to say. If I could make any changes over on the Metafy, in the Annie guide, there will be a slightly updated list with the changes that I would make. Those will not be included here, just so the people who have the Annie guide can get something extra. This is still a very fine list. I mean, the changes I made were very, very small, so like this list is pretty much perfect in my eyes. there are very few things I would even consider changing. You could maybe do like take out one Void Seeker to like put the third Darius in the main. I think that would be an appropriate change. I think you could like drop a Gust for something. I think that would be an appropriate change. But like generally speaking, I'm very happy with where the list is at. I'm very happy with where the list is at going into kind of the later stages of the Origin set. I think this deck, or Annie in general, is well positioned into the meta. I think at this point, Annie's hardest matchup is going to be the mirror. I do not have any advice. Don't ask me about the mirror. I don't know. Honestly, the mirror just feels like you either win or you lose. And very few times I play the mirror, I feel like I make any sort of meaningful gameplay decision. It genuinely just feels like you either open good, open better than your opponent, or you opened worse than your opponent and you lost. There are a few things, against like an equally skilled opponent. If you play against someone who's worse than you at the game, you will just win probably. But there's like, you have to respect so much. You have to play around so much that if you ever like get behind, you have to, you basically just lose. Like if your opponent is ever like points ahead, like 2 points ahead of you, there's just nothing you can do. You have to make like some crazy like Hail Mary play in order to like try and get ahead. And that maybe that works out, but like normally it doesn't, because like Annie just has so many answers to stuff that like it's really hard to get ahead once you've gotten behind. So yeah, I am personally not a fan of the mirror. I think the mirror is like actually this like the most miserable thing ever. It's like actually unfun to play. You just don't make any decisions from what I noticed. Like all of the decisions are like pre-made unless you want to like do some like really risky play like an off-turn ride the wind, or you want to like, I mean, is that it? Is that the only decision you can make? Maybe you don't do Void Seeker on something, but even that seems illegal. There's a lot going on in the mirror that like doesn't, that you maybe won't notice at first glance. But yeah, the mirror is a miserable matchup. Definitely Annie's hardest matchup, just because it's almost completely dependent on luck. It's like a coin flip, but not in that like you need to go first or need to go second. It's just that your opening hand needs to be better than your opponent's opening hand. It'll say going first is still favored. Like if you go first, you're like big ballin', but you don't have to go. Like you can win going second. You just have to open better than your opponent. It's like the main thing. Like if my opponent opens like a merch, like if you open Pouty Poro in the mirror, you just win. Like if you open Pouty and your opponent doesn't, you are like extremely favored to win. This card is absolutely disgusting in the mirror. Actually, maybe the most unfun card to play against of all time, because you just can't interact with it. It's so atrocious. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the deck list, feel free to let me know. If there's any sort of content that you would like to see regarding Annie or Riftbound in general, put it in the comments or DM me, whatever. Yeah, that's about it. See you.